Welcome to episode 2 of the Long Distance Stitchers. I'm Megan.
And I'm Megan.
That's Megan. And today we're doing a WIP parade. I'm excited. I love a WIP parade.
Yeah, so before we get into our WIP parade, we thought that we would show you a little bit of haul, a little bit of fully finishes. And then the things that we've worked on since our first Flosstube, we're just going to show you in the WIP parade because that's...
I made a stack of everything, so I'm not digging through that stack.
Yes, I also have a stack. It's in chronological order, so we're not going to pull from the bottom to put it on the top type thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So, do you want to show everybody what you fully finished this week?
So, I did mention in the last video that I was going to start a stitch journal, just like Bendy Stitchy. So I did my first page, and I have, so this is the little bee that I finished when I was in BC, and then I have stickers that I bought. That one's from Salt Spring Island, that one's from Prince George. I bought this corgi postcard because I'm obsessed with corgis, and then just like a little bit of info about my trip and what I did. And then I just got this like scrapbooking paper at Dollarama, I think. And then some ribbon. I didn't just like glued down because I didn't get interfacing, but now I have interfacing, so I can start doing them more properly that way.
No, I love.
And then this is just like a daily planner that is like for 2022, so it's like half useless already, and it was like $3, so now it is my stitching journal.
Oh, it's gonna be
and that's the only thing that I fully finished. I didn't frame any of my other stuff that I was supposed to frame.
It happens. So I fully finished 2 things since we last saw you. First, this one I did not show in our finished parade because I forgot about it. It's a red-footed booby. I think it's Christmas Dance. It's Lindy Stitches. And this was a kit. So it came with the fabric and the pom-poms and the ribbon, like all the finishing stuff, polka dot fabric for the back, and all the instructions on how to make it. So I did that. This I stitched. It's a 32 count Lugana, I think. But I did a sulky conversion from the called for DMCs for this one, and I think it turned out beautiful. And it will go up in the wintry season. I think it'll probably stay up all year, honestly, once I find a place for it, because I love a booby. So I showed in our finished parade my tomato as finished stitch pieces, but I got really busy and put it all together. So this is another kit. It came with everything to finish it, I think, except like some glue and double-sided tape. But it's a felt tray, and that bottom piece sits in there, and then there's a magnet and the little tomato, and it just sticks right on there. So it defies gravity, and I love it. I have it upstairs next to my stitching spot, and I like looking at it. Mm-hmm. So those are my fully finishes. I think doing this Flosstube is going to inspire me to finish things more often because it's fun to share. So
exactly, I feel that.
My pile of unfinished finishes is very high.
Yeah, and it will start to. Well, you'll add things to it, and then
right, like couple in, couple out, as I get inspired to do things.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. So, Megan, I know that you visited a cross-stitch store when you were in BC.
I did. So I didn't
share that all with us.
Yes. So in the last video, I was like, oh, I didn't buy anything. But I did. I went to Buttons and Needleworks in Victoria, and they had a lot of patterns and a lot of buttons. It's their button store. So I got a couple to show. So one is like it's like this like Victoria thing, like tourism sampler. And it's the legislature building, one of the double-decker buses that are like super popular there, the Empress Hotel, and then just like this like indigenous art.
Those are the totem poles at the museum.
Oh, is that the museum? Okay. Yeah. And then like a map of Vancouver Island at the top. And I really like that. And I was like, oh, that'll be cute to like stitch as like a commemoration of my trip. And then I also got another one of these little virtue sheep things. So I have 3 now. I have kindness and friendship. And then now I have love. And I think I'm going to do them like in a row because they're just little. And then I would do like 3 in a row. That's the plan. And then they also had an entire wall of Gentle Arts sampler threads. And I needed Grecian gold for my swans, the cottage garden sampling swans. They didn't have it. And so I ended up ordering gold leaf to do it when I ordered it anyway. And then I was looking for it there too. But they did have burnt orange, which is for the fox,
yeah,
which is also in the same series. And then I just ordered and then I just bought these 2 like nice like greeny kind of colors. This one is called Mistletoe, and this one is called Creek Bed, and they're sort of like just variegated, like nice green colors. Because I always gravitate towards like purple and like blue, and like those kind of colors, and I was like, I don't have a lot of like green, like nice greens, so I decided to get a couple greens.
Build up that stash because then you can just pull and replace things and patterns as you please.
And then I also got buttons because I was in the button store, and I got these little buttons.
These are pretty.
And then also, since they're in the same place, the buttons that I got when we went thrifting in print storage. Nice little buttons. Which will also help with my finishing. So when I need buttons, I will now have some.
Yeah. Build a little stash to choose from.
And then, as mentioned before, interfacing. So now I can interface my things. And that's what I actually bought recently.
So I have a few items of haul. First, I got my monthly floss pack from Hand Dyed by Rwanda. And it is this lovely set of colors that will be really nice in spring projects. She usually does sort of 4 colors and then one super variegated one that goes along with them. So they're really nice sets, right? For doing a project. If you had something where you had 4 or 5 colors, you can just put these in and sub them in. And yeah, I really like her flosses. They're very soft and nice to work with. And yeah, that's really all there is to say about that. They're great floss. I am a member of the Witchy Stitchers Patreon, and I'm at the tier where by the end of the year you get a mug, right? So every 3 months she's sending us presents. So we got our first present, which is this Witchy Stitcher Coven member sticker. So this is awesome. It will go on my sewing machine. You can see, very stickery, probably on the back. That's probably the only place it'll fit. But I love it a lot. And then I got off of a D-Stash Facebook group 2 older Plum Street samplers. I love some of her older stuff. It's very like dark and gothic-y feeling.
Yeah.
I love her new stuff too. You'll see some in my pile, but I got this one, which is Salem Sisters 3. And it says, "Sisters of mine, a tree be our shrine, though these treacheries we've not committed. Our brethren have judged us, their mercies begrudged us, but God holds our souls as acquitted." And it says Gallows Hill, Salem Village, 1692. So I look forward to stitching that. Megan and I went to Salem many years ago. We we had a car rental and some time to spare, so we drove up to Salem, but we went too late in the day. Everything was closed. So
Yeah.
we wandered around and we had delicious pizza, but like the museum and stuff was closed. So yeah.
It's
so
also
went to the
so
graveyard,
weird.
but-
Yeah, and I just remember thinking it was really weird how like all of the tourism in that town is built around this like horrific event.
Yeah.
But they acknowledge it, but then at the same time they're like, yeah, we're gonna make money off of it.
Yeah, they're selling
But
all
yeah,
these
it's not
really
something that
tacky
we
rich things and stuff.
celebrate.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very weird, but it was a cool little town.
Yeah, it's really pretty. I mean, that whole area is really pretty. So. And then I got this one, which is Elizabeth I, The End Crowneth the Work, Elizabeth R. I really love the reds in this.
Yeah.
Really pretty. And then I have a good friend who, let's say, is obsessed, maybe is the word. I don't know. Elizabeth is her thing. So I'm going to stitch this for her and gift it to her. But she will probably never watch this Flosstube. So A, she won't know. And B, I'll need to start it to be able to finish it. So I'll have to figure out when to work that into my large WIPs. And then finally, if you watched our finished parade, you saw this, and I talked about wanting to get a round trivet so that I could be inspired by Michelle Bendy's finish of her stitch of this piece. And I was at a bunch of antique stores this past week, and look what I found. And it's the perfect size. It's about 1 inch wider to this edge than the stitched piece, so I'll be able to finish it out and put it on there. And I will adhere it in such a way that if I ever want to take it off of there, I can preserve this rooster, because this is actually really pretty by itself. But I'm excited to put it on there, and then I can hang it up, maybe back here behind me. We'll see. So that's my haul to share with you today. Not a lot of purchasing going on. I got another good score on the stash deload that I guess will be here in time to show you next time.
Yeah, when that comes.
Yeah. So I guess it's time to dive into the WIP parade. I'm really hoping that this video will be shorter than last time, but we have basically as many WIPs as we have finishes, so no promise.
Yeah, we'll see.
There you go. Okay, so the first one that I have, my oldest project, is Shores of Cochrane Hollow. I'm sure most people know this. I am very fond of the ocean, so this one really speaks to me. I do have some other Cochrane Hollow in my stash. I started this on December 10th, 2019. It was a restart, so I had started it earlier in 2019. I'm just going to show you really quickly. And I had started it 2/2 on this fabric, but it was just too bulky. And as I thought about trying to stitch the whole thing that bulky, I knew I would just not do it because I would struggle and it wouldn't make me happy. So I would just avoid it. So I restarted it in 2019. Trying to see what I'm showing you. So this is a 25 count Lugana, moving the wrong hand. It's a printed fabric. I'm not quite sure who made it. Like, I don't think it's Fabric Flare. It doesn't have any of their information on it. But I liked the idea of a lighter, more sky background rather than the sort of golden fabric that it's done on originally. I'm stitching it in the DMCs because the number of silks in this, I wasn't willing to commit that money to it. And then I've done some changes. I've added some H-wall, which I'm sure is hard to see, but like up in these corners where it's just white, it's H-wall, so it stands out a little bit more, as well as there's some in the sails of the ship. And so I'm halfway through that middle block, which means I'm halfway done the piece as a whole. And it's on my WIPGO board 2 more times this year. So I will get a lot more stitching time in with this one going forward this year. So hopefully I will get the rest of that middle block done and then the next block beside it. And then I'll just have 4 more to go. So I might put it on my WIPGO board 4 more times next year and just get it.
Yeah.
My next oldest WIP is a Hade. It's called Queen Elizabeth. It's a mini Here is the black and white photo, and I'll try and put in a color photo. It's based on artwork by Christina Hess, and I love it. I mean, I told my friend's obsessed, but I'm into the Tudor stuff too. I like the look of it. So it's a cat dressed up like Queen Elizabeth, and she's holding a mouse in her hands, and it's just gorgeous. So I started this December 6th, 2020. It was also a restart. I had started it in 2019. Again, stitching it with 2 threads over one. And it was too bulky and I wasn't enjoying it. So the same thing. So I restarted it. Here it is. I am not, right? I'm probably about 50% done page 1, maybe a little bit less. I've been color completing across the page is how I've been approaching this. And you can start to see some of that design coming out. Yeah, and this one, I did a WIPGO on it already this year, so I don't know if I'll stitch on it more this year. I'm very committed to this being a super long-term project because I'm not the biggest fan of the full coverage stitching, so I'm okay with this taking a while. I will finish it eventually, and when it's done, great. And until then, I will just enjoy it. And I'm stitching that one with the call for DMCs, obviously.
Yeah.
And then, so I have a 2019 start, a 2020 start, and then we get into 2021. So my next one was February 27th, 2021 start. And it's this pattern by Roberus, which just has a number, it doesn't have a name. So I call it Skeleton Mermaids. They're gorgeous. This is an older one. She's still got the picture on it. It's still very, very available, I think.
Yeah.
I just love them so much. Yeah. And so here's my start.
This one. Maybe I have, but it doesn't look familiar.
Probably, but it's, you know, a year and a half ago since I stitched on it. So this is my start on this pattern. So this is 1/1 on a 28 count Monaco that I dyed myself to get this blue. So, and like this is quite big. So if this was being done at full size, like it was going to be a huge piece. It's deceptively large versus when you look at that picture. So this is on my WIPGO board, so it'll come up at some point later this year. It hasn't been called yet. And I hope to get some good progress on them. Their heads and their bodies are the densest part of the stitching. So if I can get their bodies done, WIPGO call comes up, I'll be really happy and then in a good place to bring it in for a finish. But I love it a lot and I do really enjoy the tiny stitching. So next I have Cape Cod Boys by the Primitive Needle. So I was lucky enough to have the highest bid on this in one of Bendy Stitchy's auctions. I also have Cape Cod's Girls, which we'll see later. And these are quirky and lovely. I know these are sought after patterns and I have not decided what my plan is once I'm done stitching them, but I definitely know that other people want to stitch them. So I will pass them forward in some way. So this one says Cape Cod Boys, they have no sleds, they slide down hills on codfish heads. And I am stitching it on a 32 count Picture This Plus Bramble. I'm stitching it 2/2. And I'm a little less than halfway done, although it's more dense on the bottom.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Those borders are no joke though. There are a lot of stitches in those borders. So this one also will be coming up on my WIPGO. I haven't stitched on it at all this year, but when it comes up for WIPGO, it'll get 5 days and we'll see how much more I can get done on this. Next is Jackalopian Tapestry. So this one I've been working on this week because it is or was one of my July WIPGO calls. So when I started, I just had that top border done. So I put in the jackalope's head, started on his basket, put those strawberries in, and then working on this other border. I thought I'd have the basket done to show you, but when I sat down to put some more stitches in last night, I didn't actually have the other color for the basket in my little bag of floss. So I'll have to dig that out today so that I can get that done. But I'm hoping to get the basket and the border done before I put this away in anticipation of my January or August WIPGO pieces that are coming up here. And then I will come back to this at some point. The jackalope himself is Dinky Dye Silk, and it's my first time using Dinky Dyes, and it is absolutely wonderful to stitch with. So I will be seeking out more Dinky Dyes. I know that Jessie at Mislaid Pages, they have done conversions for the Lesbian Pride tapestry that Dee and Uncanny Kari just released in June.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I might go ahead and purchase those packs and plan to stitch that pattern in that. I don't know if they have one for the Trans Pride tapestry. I should see if they have both.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is and that's one of my July WIPGOs. So this is what I've been working on as well since we last filmed. There. And then next up is a dimensions kit. So this is Maggie the Messmaker. If you watched our finish parade, I showed a piece of Frederick the Literate that my grandmother stitched. So this is one of the two that I'm stitching to be companion pieces for that. So it is based on the art of Charles Wysocki. And it's just a cat hanging out in a sewing room, just like my cat is right behind me. So I'm not going to endeavor to convert that cat to look like one of mine, but it's very familiar behavior to me. So this one I started in July of 2021. I'm using the kit Ada. It's an 18 count Ada and all the kit floss. So I started in the middle and I did all the black with the sewing machine, and then I worked my way up to get into this top corner. And so I'm working sort of down and over. This one has been called for August for WIPGO, so I will be picking this up shortly and continuing probably with this yellow thread that I just left half finished the last time I had this out in May, and looking to get quite a bit of progress on this. They're big pieces. They're a lot of full coverage. They're dimensions gold kits, so sometimes you're using 2 threads, sometimes you're using 4 threads, half stitches, full stitches, and then there's yarn and stuff to do some of the back stitching with at the end. So it's yarn thrown over the room. It's really cool. But yeah, that's another definite long-term project. My next start is Waffle Lot by Hands On Design. This came in a box, but it's available to the general public now. It's been released. And I'm going to do the full waffle. So I'll do the top and the bottom and the sides and do that mattress finish on it. But I am doing it tiny. So I'm stitching it 1/1 on 28 count Monaco, just a white Monaco. And I just have just about done the border on this one. And so it'll just be a tiny little square. It can hang out with my tiny modernist biscuit, and yeah, it's enjoyable to stitch as all her patterns are. And I look forward to continuing to work on this at some point. I haven't worked on it other than one day this year. In May I sort of tried to work on a different project every day in May. So I got a lot of one day work on things. So, 100 stitches, 200 stitches. But it's one of those ones that if I pulled it out and I focused on it for a couple days, it would be a quick finish. So
yeah.
Maybe in between WIPGO projects or something, I can do that. My next one is Away We Ride, which I knew I had it as a start. Sorry, that's my floss conversion popping out. I knew I had it as a start, but it wasn't in my book. So as I was getting my WIPs together yesterday and counting it up, I was like, oh, it's a bit of a surprise. So I started this one last September, and it is stitched on a 32 count Pioneer Trails, which is a fabric by Mountain Air Fabrics. And this is how far I got. I only worked on it one day. It was a weekend day, so I got a lot of stitching in, but just some solid progress on the border to begin with. And this is another one that hasn't been worked on this year, should be worked on this year. It's not on my WIPGO though, so we'll see if it happens. Probably as we head into fall and Halloween season, I'll be inspired to pull this one back out again. This is 2 different blacks, and had I known how similar they were, I probably would have just used one.
Oh yeah.
I'm in it now, so I'm doing it. I think sometimes, right, with the variegated flosses, things are more different in different dye batches than they are in others.
Yeah.
So the next one I have is started October of 2021, and it is Autumn Strolls by Lindy Stitches. And I just love these fancy turkeys and that other guy in the middle. I really like, so I'm not a big fan of border stitching. So I really like that she's got 4 different borders going on there. So you're not going to work on any one too long and get bored of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm stitching this on a 36 count Picture This Plus Coastal. So it's a little bit brighter than the called for fabric that she has, but I already had this fabric. So I went ahead and did it. And I think the colors are popping off that beautifully.
Oh, yeah.
So this is another one that is not on my WIPGO board. So I'll need to pull it out at some point and get some stitches on it this year. Again, probably more in the fall season, as I'm actually thinking about it being autumn and loving on some turkeys.
Those will be fun.
My next one, I don't have a color picture of this, so again, I'll try and pop one in, but it is the Baba Yaga Hut by Mama X Cross Stitches, or Mama Witch Cross Stitch. I don't know why I said Mama X, but yeah, it's really beautiful. But again, I have a 1-day start on it, so it's just a little minimal start. I'm stitching this on a 14 count black Aida with the called for flosses. I just happened to have this Aida, so that's what I went with, and it was nice to stitch that little bit, but I need to pull it out and get more time on it as well. My next start is one that I started December 21st, 2021, and it's Christmas Pin Pillow by Kathy Barrick. This came in a box last year with the fabric and the floss. So it's stitched on a 36 count linen. And so it's with the called for colors. I just got a couple little reindeer done because again, I started it one day and didn't touch it again. So this one I think will come out this later this fall for a quick Christmas stitch because it's not very big, but it's really pretty. I'll get it done. And then there's lots of this fabric left to use for other things, which I also really appreciate.
Oh, yeah.
And then another 1-day holiday start. Lingering project. This is the Holly Jolly Buffalo, and I thought I'd show it to you like this so I cover up the pattern. So there's the buffalo at top. You might remember Megan's finish from the last episode, and then there's my guy. This is a random piece of 25, I think 25 count even weave that I have from a random ornament pack. So I'm stitching it 1/1 with the call for DMCs.
Well, he's gonna be a little buffalo.
Yeah, he's gonna be tiny. And the designer here is Open Road Adobe Needleworks. This is in not last year's, the 2020 Christmas ornament cross stitch. So I don't know if she's released it, like if you can buy it somewhere else from her, or I mean, if you go either like a lot of public libraries have subscriptions and you can access it through digital magazine apps. Or if you go and buy the digital copy from Just Cross Stitch, if you're interested in stitching that one. There's lots of other, this issue had a lot of good pieces. Yeah. They don't always have a ton that I want to stitch, but that one was really good. Next up, I have Merry Manatees. I started this one December 27th. This is a Lindy Stitches. The top has the full layout there, and then it's a drum finish, or you could do whatever you wanted with it. I'm stitching this on a 32 count sterling, and I just pulled from my stash colors that were similar to what was on there. I think I have a silk lined up for one of the manatees, and I should see if there'll be enough of that other dinky dyes left for the darker one. I should check that out. I don't think there will though. That's a very big manatee. But yeah, that's how far I got. I gave this one a couple days of work, and it was fun to stitch, and I will come back to it and at least get this thread cleaned up at some point this year. This one too, I bought from Lindy Stitches some of the finishing material, right? Like I have the silk and the wool on top that are Lady Dot Creates finishing, so I can do the drum similar to how she did it.
Oh, nice.
So then, if you're deep into the Flosstube, you probably heard about all the folks who are starting 12 starts for New Year's and stitching them between 12 and 12 on New Year's Eve. Megan and I did a slightly adjusted one because she had to work and we wanted to stitch together and share our photos back and forth as we do. So we did 2 days, the 30th and the 31st, and sort of split up our projects. And across those 2 days, because I got super ambitious, I started 15 projects. Of those 15 projects, I have finished one, right? So I've got these 14 projects that I started on December 30th and December 31st. So those are the ones that we're getting into now. First up was Birdhouse Roll, which is a shepherd's bush one. It comes as a little kit with the silk floss, this little birdhouse charm that goes on it, and the ribbon and stuff to finish it. I really like this. It's really sweet. I like birds a lot. It also, the pattern is, it's all different specialty stitches. So I've done 3 of the rows now. And so this is another one that if I just sat down and pulled it out, I'd be able to get a lot done, because I did that top row when I started it. And then the next 2 I did on the one day I pulled it out in May this year. So it's really not a very, very time consuming stitch. So just need to get it going. I have no idea. I've never bothered to measure the fabric. It looks like it's probably a 32 count, but I'm not sure. It's pretty loose. So not as Zweigart, maybe a white felt base, but it's fun to stitch and the finish will be cute. And then it will probably just go in a pile with everything else until I figure out what I'm going to do with it. Next up is the Titmice sampler from Owl Forest Embroidery, and love a bird pun, so I couldn't resist the tits. So I bought the full kit from them. So I've got the needle minder, it came with the floss and the fabric to stitch it. So again, this one I started and then I gave it one more day. I started in December and then I gave it one more day of work in May this year. So I've got that first little top corner border done. So next time I pull this out, I can get into a couple of the tits, which will be really exciting. This one is on my WIPGO, so it'll get called at some point later this year. And so then it'll get some concentrated stitching time and hopefully get some good progress on it. And then the next one that came up is another Owl Forest Embroidery. It is their Emerald City, which is, you can get this chart for free. It was a stitch along a few years ago now. And I downloaded the chart at the time, but I didn't start stitching on it. So when they put it into a kit, I definitely picked up the kit. So it comes with the fabric, comes with all their over dyed flosses, and a printed copy of the chart. And yeah, I love The Wizard of Oz. It's my favorite movie. It's one of my favorite books. I know they're very different. The movie's different than the book, and this is based on the book. So some of the things might not seem familiar to those who have only watched the movie, but I like it a lot. It's beautiful. Their materials, of course, are always great to work with. This is my little start. And so I did a center start on this. And so I'll work on that Emerald City to begin with. And I've just been using one green so far and just filling in what's there with this. And this one is also on my WIPGO board, so it will be called later this year and get some more time on it. Hopefully I can get most of that Emerald City done so that the next time I come back to it, I can get right into the fun characters. Okay, next up is Prairie Schooler Prairie Fairies. I have loved these for so long and they were so hard to get. So when they released this booklet with all of them in it, plus this new one, I had to have it. And so I am stitching these on a 32 count Picture This Plus relic. I'm stitching them 1 over 1. So I started with the one up here, the bluebird one, where she's stitching in a hoop. And so I just, again, this one I started and then I gave it another day in May, so not a ton of progress on it, but they are quite small, so they'll stitch up quick. They aren't on my WIPGO board, so I'll have to pull them out. And my plan is to stitch them all just in one row, so then it can be a long hanging. Hopefully they'll turn out in such a way that I can get a standard size frame for them, but if not, we'll figure out what to do with them. Yeah, I love them a lot and they're super cute. I'm really glad they re-released those patterns. Next up is Bigfoot Bunch by Plum Street Sampler. So another cryptid cross stitch that I will gift to my husband when it's done. This one I'm stitching on a random 16 count Aida from that same sort of ornament pack that I got off of a Facebook seller. I converted the colors in this to sulky, so that's what I'm stitching this with the exception that for the 1/1 for their faces, I will have to pull out the DMC so that it's not bulky. But I'm really enjoying it, and it's WIPGO call, and I suspect that I will get it finished when I work on it in August. Next up is Autumn Royalty, which is another Lindy Stitches pattern. I couldn't buy this fast enough when she released it. I got it. She does sometimes fancy bags with them, so I got the whole kit. I've already previously stitched the Count of Candy, and I gifted it to a friend. And that's the one that I chose to start with again, just because it was such a pleasure to stitch on. So this is being stitched on 32 count Picture This Plus Nocturne, 2/2 with the called for flosses. So that's the magpie with his little crown on that I'm working on. And again, I started this on December 30th, worked on it for another day, maybe 2 in May. There's a lot of stitches there, but I'll have to get back to this one, but it's not on WIPGO or anything. So we'll see when getting back happens. And then next up is my Max in the Adirondacks. So the other dimensions fold kit based on Charles Wysocki. That cat is just sleeping amongst all the fishing gear. So I really love this one too. And I don't have as much progress on this because I did start it on December 30th versus that other one I had started earlier. But I started in the middle where that hat is and then counted my way up and over. So I'm working down from the corner. I'm always hesitant to do a corner start on these kits because I know the fabric margins are really tight, and if you're off, then it can make it hard to frame it. So that's where I'm at. This one does have another WIPGO square on the board, so it'll come out again, being stitched on the kit Aida with the kit flosses. And yeah, I look forward to continuing to work on this. And like the other one, it's a bit of a long-term project, but I'll be really happy when they're done.
It's the journey.
Pardon?
It's the journey.
It is the journey, not the destination. So my next one is another Owl Forest embroidery kit, and this one is the dinosaur sampler, which I'm sure many of you have probably seen. I love it so much. So it's with the kit fabric, the kit flosses. They're variegated flosses. I mean, I probably already said this twice, but they're a dream to work with. So this one, so I started it on December 31st, and then it already got called for WIPGO this year. So I had just done sort of this little corner motif in December, and so the rest of it got put in when it got called for WIPGO in February. So I probably won't work on this again this year, but I'll look forward to continuing to work on it next year. I love this little wonky T-Rex, his little peg legs. He's so cute.
I love those palm trees too.
Yeah, the foliage in this is gorgeous.
Yeah.
So next up, another Lindy Stitches. So this is Saltwater Scrapbook, which is a 2-part series. The other part is done by Blue Flower. I have that pattern as well. I didn't pull it out. This is really glaring for some reason. I started with this guy, the hammerhead shark and the fish, and I haven't really decided if I'm going to do them as pillows, if I'm going to do, you can do this 9 square piece with the other patterns from the Blue Flower. I like some of the patterns a lot more than I like the other ones. I really love these squirrels eating ice cream. And I think I kind of want to do that one as a standalone because I think it would just look really cute frame. So I'll figure it out. I have time to figure it out because at this point I only just have this much started. So I am stitching this 1/1 on a 28 count Lugana Whisper Zweigart fabric. And I just am using the DMCs. So there's fancy flosses called for, but I'm just using the DMC conversions. And so that's that start. And so I have room if I want to go ahead and make a whole bunch of them, but I think I'll just make a few of my favorites and do something, maybe do a strip of them. And then if I do those squirrels separately, I'll do them on a, not necessarily a bigger count fabric, but 2/2. So it's a bigger piece in the end. And that one, again, I started in December. I worked on it for a day in May. It's not on a WIPGO board, so we'll see if it gets more stitching this year. The next one is another Plum Street sampler. This is the Babushka's Blossoms. I love those flowers. I love that dress. I love that giant pumpkin. It's just, I love it so much. The little ladder up the pumpkin that there's no way she could climb because it's as small as her foot. Right? I love it. So I am stitching this on a, where's my list? 32 count picture this plus fawn. And I started this in December and then it got called for WIPGO in June. So I have both of those flowers done. So when I come back to it, I just have the middle to do, just the bulk of the stitching with that giant skirt and that giant pumpkin and that giant house.
Yeah, just the middle.
These ones, it's always deceptive, right? You see the cover of a Plum Street sampler, she likes those big chunky frames. It makes them look reasonable, and then this is how big it is coming out the other side. So I love it, and the colors are to die for. I'm using mostly the DMCs that are in there. I sort of went through, and I only got variegated floss for the big areas, right? So the pumpkins will be variegated, and the flowers are variegated, but the vines and things I just used the DMC.
Yeah.
The next one is Angel of Love, which is a lavender and lace one, and her skirt, you can't really tell in this photo, but they're like, it's half stitches and half beads. Like there are so many beads on this. I am stitching it on 28 count tea-dyed Monaco. So it, like, you buy it and it's this color. I didn't tea-dye it myself. I've got my fabric folded. So I've got one wing. I started in the middle and then I counted up with the white and then used this to count up and over to get that wing done. I started this in December and then it was called for WIPGO in January. So I got a ton of stitching on it and I did a little bit more work on it in May as well, which is when I got that one wing finished. So probably won't work on this again this year. This is another long-term project. She's big. And the beading itself will probably take forever to do. But this one's also another sentimental one. My grandmother had stitched this. It's hanging in my mom's house. I got to visit it this past week. And it's just beautiful. I don't know. She has a different feel to her than a lot of the other lavender lace angels. I'm not really into the ones that are like flying and things, but I really like her. And the beading on the skirt, like it's just exquisite. And these patterns, they're still relatively available. Like they're not, I'm not sure if they're out of print or not, but like I got it off of eBay for $5. They're not, not hard to find. So the next one is Ink Circles Half the Fun. And if you remember, this was one of my July WIPGOs that I had to work on. I just had sort of very middle start, and I think just one of the hot air balloons or maybe one and a bit. So I worked on this for 5 days, and this is being stitched 1/1. This is a picture of this plus fabric, but I can't remember the name of the color. So it's a green of some sort. And I'm using a hand dyed by Rolanda variegated floss to do the stitching. And so I finished all those hot air balloons. I put in those sailboats, and these lines coming around are the tracks. There's steam engine trains, sort of the next round to do. So this one's going away for now, but I look forward to pulling it back out. And I don't remember if I said it's 1/1, so it's tiny stitching again. So it's gonna be pretty small when it's done.
Yeah.
And Tracy Horner's patterns, Ink Circle, are amazing. Like she just, I don't know how her brain works, but I'm very impressed with it.
One of the ones on my list is the Get Kraken.
Yeah.
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 I'm gonna buy it. I know I'm going to.
Great. So next up is Autumn Gathering Let Joy In by Friend Stitch, which is a collaboration between Heart and Hand and Bent Creek. So I did Friend Stitch year 1 and year 2. I ultimately chose not to do Friend Stitch year 3. I had a bit of FOMO. I almost caved, but they're doing another winter pattern. I would have really hoped they would do a different season, right? They've done winter, now they've done fall. But yeah. That's not what they're going towards. So I ultimately decided not to. I don't need to cave to FOMO every time. I have other things going on that I've already purchased, and the conversion rates and the shipping right now are ridiculous. Anyway, I'm stitching this on 32 count, picture this plus relic, and I'm stitching it with all the called for flosses because they came in the kit. And so I started this one in December, and it also got a January WIPGO call, so it got a bunch of stitching in it. So I'm done the bird and the house, so I'm about, you know, a quarter of the way done. And I kept up with that border as I go, and I'll keep doing that because I can't stand a border, but it's got to get put in. So
yeah.
If I do it as I go, it makes it a little bit easier. I get to do a border and then I reward myself with the fun things. So next up is Cape Cod Girls. So this is the companion for Cape Cod Boys, another primitive needle piece. And this one says, Cape Cod girls, they have no combs, they comb their hairs with codfish bones. And I love that mermaid. I love the just quirky sayings. Again, though, that border is no joke with the stitches. This one I am stitching on a 32 count Picture This Plus dapple. If you haven't guessed yet, I did a Picture This Plus fabric of the month thing. So I've got a large collection of fabrics, and at that point 32 was my comfort zone. It's not really anymore. I like the higher counts now, but I've got all this fabric to work through, so I'm going through it. So this one got time, I started it, so it got sort of an hour in December, and then it got another day in May. So I really just worked across the very top bit of that border. So there's a lot more border stitching to go in this, as well as the rest of it. It is on my WIPGO board, so it'll come up sometime later this year, and I hope to get some good progress, at least start to see some of those words come in. So yeah, and so that's 2/2 using the called for flosses. Next up, I don't have the cover photo for it, but I hope that many of you have already seen it, is the Rosina Dizery 1820, which is antique sampler that was stitched by a black young woman, and it was charted by Works by ABC. So I started this on February 1st, and I really only stitched on it for a day or two. So that is 1/1 on 32 count red Picture This Plus. So part of the pattern is 1/1 and part of it is 2/2. So I need to get back to this and put some more time into it. And I will try and insert a photo of the whole thing, but if not, Rosina Dizery is the name of it, and I'm sure you have seen it. A lot of people are stitching it, so my little start. And then my next one is 17th. We're getting close to the end. 17th by Hands On Design, which I absolutely loved when she released it. It says, it is in the shelter of each other that people live. And it just, the colors are amazing and everything. So I started this on March 17th. I worked on it for a couple days then, and I worked on it for another day in May. Then I've put it away. So I've done the border outline and then started on the vine. This is a 28 count white chocolate linen. It's a witch out linen. I wasn't able to get the called for linen, which is I think it's artichoke. But I'm thinking about changing it because I don't like how that color doesn't show up on there. So I might see if I can source the linen and do a restart before I continue on my way. And then I'll have this very long piece to do something else with. But stay tuned for that. I probably won't work on that again this year. I'll put it on my WIPGO board next year and see if I can get it done. Then my number 30 WIP is a top secret one, so I'm not going to show it when it's done. you all can see it, but it's secret for now. So
Oh.
31 is Iron Maiden, which I showed you last time. These 20 stitches and Uncanny Kari from their spring film box, but it's available now to anybody who wants to stitch it from Brin and Needle. The fabric and the floss are both Brin and Needle. It's a 36 count fizzy pop, and then there's 4 or 5 flosses that are all dyed especially for this project. And I got a fair bit of progress on her since I last saw you. I've put together the rest of her body and started filling in the ribbon and some of these spikes just based on the colors. There's still a fair bit of stitching to go because all of this gets filled in solid along the bottom, as well as you can see a little bit here. There's these floral motifs all in the background of the body. So there's quite a bit to go still, but I love stitching this, and I suspect that it will come out frequently as I have time over the next few months, and she'll be done before the end of the year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love her too much. She can't stay away for too long.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like,
right?
I want to stitch it all the time.
And then this one, again, I don't have the cover photo for it, but it is Wonky Cat by Marumi Stitches. This is done on a 40 count Fortnite fabric ornament for my Fabric of the Month club this year, using a Silks for You variegated silk floss. So I'm stitching it 1 over 1, and I've gotten the border in, so now I need to come back and put the cat in, and I don't have a printout, so if I figure it out, there'll be a picture to go along with it. But this border was actually pretty lovely to stitch because it was pretty predictable, and the variegated floss made it fun, but that doesn't mean that I'm signing up for lots of borders in the future. She just released a dog one that I'm gonna have to do to go with it.
Well, I haven't seen the dog.
Yeah, just this past week. She's got a little video about it, so you should check that out. And then even though in my last episode I was like, I'm not gonna start anything new, it's all good, I actually went and I started the vintage Halloween carousel, which again, hopefully I'll put a picture here. But this is the Witchy Stitcher. It was her first Patreon exclusive chart. It will be released eventually, but this is the Fortnite Beloved fabric that I showed last time, and I was like, oh, that'd be really good for Halloween. And then after we finished filming, I started pulling the flosses for this, and I put them on the fabric, and it was perfect. So this is being stitched in the Call for DMCs. 2 over 2 because I wanted that really good coverage for the black. Just so it's good coverage on the 36 count Fortnite Fabric Beloved. And I mean, I just got a little start into it. It's really 1 day of stitching, but I'm really looking forward to continuing to work on this and hopefully have it done for Halloween time. We will see. So that is the end of my WIP parade. So I have 33 current WIPs, of which you just saw 32. 8 of them I haven't worked on at all this year. So I'm gonna try and work on everything that I haven't worked on over the next couple months. Some of them are slated for WIPGO, but some of them aren't. So I will pull them out and get work on them. Yeah, that's my WIPs. And so, I mean, you know, pause the video, take a break, get a beverage, and then you can come back and see Megan's WIPs.
Yay, my WIPs. I had to adjust my lighting because it's very cloudy out right now. So I just aimed every lamp in this room at me. So hopefully that'll.
You need to invest in the ring light. I have no natural lighting down here, and the lights on my ceiling. So my house was built in the 70s. I'm pretty sure those lights went in the 70s. They're terrible. But this ring light, it just poofs the whole year.
Yeah.
Whole year.
Now that I'm a professional YouTuber.
Yeah, right? You need it. You need it.
Okay. I have 26 WIPs. I also have a bunch that I started on the 31st and the 30th. And then I also have a bunch that I started in May. So yeah, let's just get into it. So my oldest WIP is something I've been working on for like 3 years now. and it's this seasons to everything there is a season. And I found out after I started working on this that it's actually a Dimensions kit. And I did not buy it from Dimensions, but I'm too far into it now. I can't start over.
And you know better now, so you won't do it again.
And I'm still like giving Dimensions my money in other ways. Yeah. So I think they're fine. But yeah, so I'm 3/4 of the way through this. I started it, my best guess is that I started it in December of 2019. So I guess I was actually working on it for like 2 years. And I started with winter, and then I went down to spring. And then just this past couple months, I did autumn up here. And so I did all of the back stitching for winter, and then I actually had to take some out because as I was working on it, because it's just like long strands, and then they were like coming up, and it's like I can't make them tight enough so that they'll just like stay, like, because I don't want to like break them up. Like I like when it's just like a long strand, so I'll just have to finish it and do it properly. And then for spring, I did some of the back stitching, but I didn't do the one like that goes all the way around. And then I'll do the same thing for autumn, and I'll just like do them all when I finish it. So yeah, the only one that I have left to do is my favorite one, which is summer.
Save that lighthouse for last.
That lighthouse. Yeah, and then the words. And I didn't give myself a very big margin. You can kind of tell. So it's gonna be a photo finish. This is like as far as it goes on that side. So like I know when
you're done, you can sew fabric on the side to help you frame it.
Yeah.
Right? It'll need a tight frame, but the fabric then can be what you use to stretch it.
Yeah. And I had to like move, like this is supposed to be like 20 stitches between them, but it's like 10. And I was like counting between how close it was gonna be, but it's fine. Like I counted it, it's fine. And then I just have like, that's as far as it's going on that side. So I know I just made it. But yeah, that's one that I'll hopefully finish. I'll start working on, I mean, summer's almost over. I wanted to do them all like during the actual seasons, but I think I missed the time for that. So that's okay. And then my next one is, it's barely a WIP. It's basically done. I just haven't decided yet what I want to do for the back stitching. And it's this lighthouse.
I still love that so much.
Quilted lighthouses, and this is by Ursula Michael, which I bought at like crossstitch.com, something like that. And I started it in June 2020. I don't have the actual day because I wasn't tracking that then. But yeah, it's these little eyes. And so the call for the back stitching is all in like the dark blue color, like the navy blue. But I kind of want to do, like green for this one because it's there's no blue in that one. And then I wanted to do like red or like something else. But then I'm like, or maybe I'll just do them all the same. I don't know. So I'm gonna play around with it, figure out what I like. I can always just like stitch it, decide if I like it, take it out, do it again. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, it's barely a WIP. I almost showed it during our finishes, but then I was like, I have too many finishes anyway, so it's fine. And then my next one is barely a start because so this was a New Year's Eve start. So it's the companion piece to this lemonade one. And it's gonna be this one, this journey, like that. So I'm just doing, there's 4 of them all together, but I'm just doing the tropical one and the lemonade. And I have just like the start of the straw. Like that's literally it. Like I think I worked on it for like 10 minutes. But this is on my WIPGO board. So this will get called this year. And I think I am like aiming for a finish on it. And maybe.
But the lemonade one didn't take you very long to stitch.
No,
they're
like
pretty
maybe
straightforward.
a full like week of stitching.
Yeah,
like because I worked on it pretty much monogamously while I was working on it. So that one's like, yeah, I can finish that in a few days once I focus on it. Like they're not big. Okay, so the next is, so this one is also very close to being done. And I should just get it out and finish it. It's also on my WIPGO board, so if it comes up, I'll probably just finish it. And it's this pumpkin one. I'll show the finished, I'll show the picture. So this is, it's called Blackbirds on a Pumpkin, and it's by Karen Kluba from Rosewood Manor. And I changed it because you can kind of see there that it says boo in the like swirlies up there, but I didn't really like that, and I didn't really want it to be like just like Halloween, so I just changed it to just be like random swirlies. And this is because it's called for I think it was Gentle Arts maybe, but I just did it in DMC, and I just kind of picked colors that I liked.
Beautiful. I love it a lot. Her designs are really, like, I haven't stitched one, but I have a couple, I think, in my stash, and I definitely have some on my I would like to list.
Yeah.
She's unique, right? Like there's nobody else doing it quite like she is. So
I have 2 more from her that I bought at Stitch North that are also pumpkins, because that is just like my.
You like pumpkins?
So yeah, so I'm definitely gonna have like a pumpkin wall, like that's just pumpkins when I'm done, and that's fine. But yeah, I love these birds. I did have to take out a little bit because they had these like their bellies, and I forgot, and I just filled it all in with black, and then was like, oh, that's supposed to be empty. But yeah, and then I'm just kind of like playing with the colors because like there was like, it's like the DMC that they say to use, but then I looked at that compared to like the picture, and it was like
they don't always match.
Yeah. So I just kind of grabbed colors that I liked, and some of them are like, yeah, but yeah, I really like it, and I'm gonna hopefully finish it very, very soon. And if it gets called, I think I gave myself 5 days for it, but I can probably finish it in less than 5 days. Like the most annoying part of it is just switching colors constantly, because it'll be like 1 stitch, 2 stitch.
Reload all your needles.
Yeah.
Have the
See,
colors
this is the trick that I didn't know
time.
back then.
Yeah.
But now I always have like 4 or 5 needles just sitting next to me anyway, so I might as well just put whatever on. Okay, so my next one is, I started that one in September of last year, September 2021. Yeah. Okay, so then this one is Dreaming Miss Claus. I looked up the actual name. And this was the mystery Sal from Barbara Anna, the Christmas one. And I started this one November 17th, 2021, which I think is when it came out, because I started it like right away.
I think the first release date was the 15th. So
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
That's how
and then yeah, so this is where I'm at with it. I had it on my WIPGO board, and it got called in June. And so I worked on it a lot when I was at your house. I did pretty much her entire face.
Yeah, you got a lot done while you were here.
Yeah. And I had all these buildings up here done, but I had to pull them out because they were in the wrong place. And I have a picture of that one too. You've already seen Megan's finished one. So yeah, I have these buildings, and I have all these stars, and then there's like some more trees, and then just like this big chunk of white that will take.
It's not pure white, right? She's got the pattern in there, so it's a little bit nicer than just stitching white right across.
Yeah, that'll be good. And then this is on, I haven't been saying what they're on. This is on 14 count. It's blue. And the pumpkin was on, I think these have all been 14 count so far. Yeah. And then that'll be hopefully finished. That's the wrong thing. I have my new project thing. And yeah, I will try to finish that one around Christmas time. It already got called this year, so we'll see if I'm just like inspired to take it out later. And then next I have, this is my sushi one. So I started this one November 25th of 2021.
You're so close.
I know. And since I've shown it, I have finished this pink guy up here. So he's fully done. And yeah, it's just a lot of filling in. And then there's like a design in the top of this one, but that's pretty much done as well. Yeah, and I got a frame at the dollar store the other day that I think will fit this because it's an 8x8 square, so I got an 8x10 frame, and this is on 18 count, just like white, whatever, from Michael's. So I'm gonna try to work on that still in August as well, and I think I should be able to finish it. Okay, so this next one is this is the first one of my New Year's Eve starts. So I found this pattern from DMC Europe. So it's like a European company. And they did this freebie. So they did every month they had a new one. And it's like all these like little European like, I don't know what you call them, like scenes, I guess. Yeah. And I'm just doing the 3 for the places that I've been to. So I'm doing Copenhagen, London, and Vienna. Because that's, and like I've been to like Rome as well, and like Amsterdam technically, but like those are the ones that I like the best. And so I'm just doing them like all in a row. So I started with Copenhagen, and I started it on December 30th, and then it got called in April. So I worked on it when I was at Stitch North. So nice. This is Copenhagen so far.
It's so cute.
See the little mermaid. I thought I was gonna finish this, and I got really close, but then that boat is gonna take a while. So
there's still a lot of stitches left in there. But they're yeah. almost full coverage, right? There's a lot going on.
Yeah, like the little square is pretty much full. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And this is just on like 14 count, like an off-white color, like not, yeah. It's not quite white. And it was in just like my stash from my friend's grandma. And it's like the perfect size to do all 3 of them together. And then the next one I have is so this one is Funky Menagerie, which is by Lindy Stitches, which Megan gave to me after she stitched it. Did you show yours during your thing? I don't remember seeing it. Maybe it's gone. Because you finished it, right?
Yeah, you keep going. I'm gonna see if I can dig it out.
Yeah, so this is the Funky Menagerie, and this is another one where like I really like it, and I was wanting to work on it for a really long time, but again was like super nervous about like separating the things away from each other, which is like something that I was not very good at back then, was like counting over to things. And yeah, but now I'm better at that. So I started it also on December 30th. I have the world's tiniest start. There it is.
Yeah, it was on my table because I was measuring to see if it fit in the frame, and I just grabbed it when we did our finish parade.
You forgot to grab it, yeah. See, there it is.
So that's what Megan's will look like when she's done.
And mine's on like a gray 18 count, so it's like a little darker background. And I have just like this one little corner start. I think that's the way it goes. Maybe it's this way. But yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the way it goes, because you probably
would have started in the corner and gone over. Yeah, I love these colors, and I think it's gonna look really great on here. I'm just doing the called for the DMCs. But yeah, I'm excited for that one.
It was, I had so much fun stitching it. Each of those little animals is a joy to stitch, and like you finish an animal and you're like, oh, I succeeded at something, right?
Yeah.
Like, it hit all those dopamine centers.
Yeah.
So, but the border, like there's enough variation going on there, and then sometimes she threw an animal in, so that was fun.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's gonna be fun to stitch, and it's on my WIPGO board, so it will come up sometime this year, hopefully. Okay, so then next is, this was also a start, a Christmas or New Year's start, and I've showed this already because I was working on it this month, and it is the fruit sampler from Diana Waters. And when I started it this month, so I started it on New Year's, and then I had like the tiniest part of the pineapple done, and then I worked on it for 5 days, and now I have a pineapple and an avocado.
Yay!
And yeah, so the pineapple will have like back stitching and like beading, but I'm gonna do that later. But the avocado is fully done. And then yeah, I'm going to.
You got the colors perfect on that avocado, right?
Right, like it is an avocado.
Shady.
So perfect. Yeah, no, they're all great, and it was really really fun to do, and it stitched up really quick. Yeah, so that one, I mean, I'll keep working on it. I'll pull it out when I'm feeling fruity and just like stitch a fruit. It'll take like a couple of days each fruit probably. So I could probably finish it in like a week or two if I actually like worked on it for a while. Yeah. And then next is, so this was the first one that I started on December 31st. So this was because we had 2 days of our thing. And this is Aloha by Emma Congdon of Stitchrovia. And it looks like that. So and I just love everything tropical and colorful, and I love that toucan. And I'm really excited for this. And I saw somebody, maybe it was like on TikTok or whatever, and she stitched it and then put her name on it. And then it was like at their wedding, they had like a big welcome table, and it was like Aloha, the whatevers, like whatever their name was going to be. And I was like, oh, that's a cute idea. And this is just on 18 count, so it's going to be a little smaller because it's already pretty big. And it's just DMCs. Yeah, that's where I'm at. So this I started on New Year's, and then I worked on it when it got called in February. So I pulled it back out, and it was really fun to stitch in the winter when it was cold and dreary out, and I got to use these tropical colors. So yeah, that's one I've been thinking about focusing on again as well, because I really want to finish it and hang it up. So we'll see how much I get motivated. The next one is, so this was a December 31st start as well, and it is this Winter Village, and it is by Jenny Van de Wiel. And this was also from a magazine, and it's this like Christmas village, which I really really like.
Yeah, very cute. I like the poinsettia border.
Yeah,
I like the border, but I wouldn't want to stitch it.
Yeah. I've made one poinsettia. I haven't even gone onto the leaves yet. So I worked on this on December 31st, and then it got called during January. So I pretty much like had it still out from my start. And then yeah, I did the schoolhouse, and I started to do whatever that other building is. Just like a barn or something. And then the trees and the ocean. Ocean.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah. And I started in the middle because I started with the poinsettia in the middle, and then just kind of like work down from there. And I'll probably just like jump around because that's how I like to stitch. And this is on 16 count. Blue, misty blue, 16 count misty blue. that I ordered from Millions of Stitches. That was originally going to be for another project that we'll see, but it ended up not being the right color. So now it is.
Happens, but thankfully fabric is still usable for other projects.
Yeah, exactly. That's wrong.
Or it sits in a box and it's your stash and it just exists. And sometimes, you know, you look at it, you pet it, you tell it that you love it, all those good things.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so then the next one. So this was a birth sampler, or sorry, this was a New Year's Eve start as well, and this is the birth sampler by Historical Sampler Company, and that is going to look like this. It's huge. It's really huge. And the baby that it's for is turning 3 this year, so whatever.
Their birth date hasn't changed. It's fine.
They're moving again anyway, so she, like, you know, whatever. So I started it on New Year's, and then I've worked on it in. Oh no, it didn't get called, but it got called for this month, so it's going to be one of my August WIPGOs, and I just kind of was working on it because I want to finish it. So I started with the little crab, and then I did the little fishy underneath him, and yeah, and they're fun to stitch. Like, it's, each of these squares took me about 4 hours, so it's not crazy. Like, it's not.
You can finish off the sections, right? And then that makes you feel accomplished. But you know,
exactly.
Maybe work your way to a corner and tackle some of that border before you end up with the middle and no border.
Yeah, exactly. And then just do the border all at the end, you know, the part that I really don't like.
Yeah.
So I'm going to work on this again in August, and my plan will be, because I know that each square takes me about 4 hours, if I can at least finish 2 more squares, like 8 hours, 5 days, that seems very doable. At the rate that I'm stitching, I stitch like maybe 1 or 2 hours per day every time I sit down, unless I have the day off, and then I'll stitch more. But, you know, it is what it is. Okay, so next was this. This was a Mill Hill kit that my friend Megan gave me.
Super generous.
A festive flamingo. It's very cute, and so it's a beading kit, and it's on perforated paper. And I started this one on December 31st, and it's on my WIPGO board, so hopefully it'll get called again. And I have a tiny start. I have his hat.
When it gets called, you'll finish it.
Right, and also, like, it took me a while to figure out, like, where to put it, because it's such a tiny little piece, and I was like, okay.
I have always, with those little Mill Hill kits, done the center start.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Then you know you can fit in the thing, right? And then you can work up if you want to work down from the top or whatever. But yeah, otherwise you're guessing and you might run out of room. So because they're not very generous with the amount that they give you.
No, they're basically like, you don't need more. You have enough.
Well, you don't. You're cutting off the rest.
Yeah.
But
yeah, exactly.
start
yeah, so that'll be fun when I pick that back up, and it's on my WIPGO board. Okay, so next one is this one. I have tried to get this pattern like a million times, and I finally got it, and it is Strawberry Fields Forever by Blackbird Designs.
Good.
And I love it so much.
I need to buy it and add it to my stash.
Yeah, well, I've already bought 2 copies, so if that other one ever shows up, you can have it.
It was going to show up.
And it got lost in the mail, and then I ordered it again from a different place, and it came, and I was very happy. So I had it on my WIPGO board already, but I didn't even start it until it came, which was on February 25th is when I finally got to start this one. And then it got called in March. So I worked on I got it, I started it, and then I got to work on it for 5 days. I was very happy. And I also ordered the needle minder. The design comes with it. And this is on 28 count vintage beige. So this is a linen, which is unusual for me. I don't have a lot of things on linen. And yeah, I have my little bird and this little basket, and I started in the middle here, and then I just kind of worked out on the border. And I'm doing the DMC conversion. I had ordered the fancy flosses to go with it, but they are lost. They're somewhere. Who knows? So
Gotta
then
try the floss, and hopefully they're actually doing something with it.
Yeah, I hope whoever found it is enjoying it. But yeah, so I'm just doing the DMCs, and they're beautiful. I love it. It doesn't matter. It's fine. I would be happy with it no matter what. Okay, so next is my turtle. So this one, because I also ordered fabric for it 2 different times and then decided I didn't like the colors. So then I just got this blue one. So I'll show you the picture. So it's a patchwork turtle. Oh, I don't have the whole picture, but that's okay. So basically, it's like meant to look like a quilt. But it's like this little sea turtle.
It's so pretty.
And yeah, it's really nice. And this one was by Amanda Butler, and I got it from a magazine. And this is my turtle.
It's so cute.
Like yeah, like the shape, like you can see his face, you can see his little fins, like it's so clear like what it is already. And I started this on March 4th when I finally got the stuff for it. And then it also got called in April. So I worked on it in April for a few days, for like 5 days. And that goes in this bag. And that's on, I think that's a 16 count light blue Ada. And then the next one is Under the Sea Stitch Along, which I already showed in the last video because I was working on it last month. But I'll show you the whole, because they released a new clue since I showed it. So this is the entire thing as it is now.
The puffer fishes.
The puffer fishes have come. So that was like one of the things that made me buy it in the first place, was those little puffer fishes. I was so excited for those. So that's the new clue. And because I just have like these jellyfish, these seahorses, and then I was just gonna like do all these fishes all at once.
Yeah.
And then move up to that other scuba diver up there. So yeah, that's my plan now. So yeah, I pretty much have finished clue 3 at this point. I thought I was a little further along, but whatever, it's fine. And then yeah, so I have almost finished this little treasure chest. It just has like, it's like one or like 2 or 3 little stitches of like each little color, because it's like full of jewels and stuff. And then I'm using those colors also in like the fish and stuff. So like I didn't want to get them out and then do it and then whatever. So I'll probably do that thing where I like load up my needle, like a bunch of different needles.
Stitch the fish and then you can fill in the jewels. You don't have to do it separately.
Yeah. And then the only thing I changed so far was the mermaid's hair. So she originally had like kind of like a purple hair. And I had this beautiful color that my friend Meghan sent me, which was like green and purple and blue and like all these different colors. And I don't know where it's from. Where's it from?
It's a Silks for You. It's the same one that I used on my wonky cat. It came in a box last year, like full hank. I will be using it for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
As will you, because I sent you a big chunk of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have tons of it. So yeah, that's, I did her hair in that color instead, because as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, this is like a mermaid. This is a mermaid color. So that's perfect. And that is on 16 count Bridesmaid, which is a printed fabric. And I got that from Stitch It Central, I think. And it was called for on Picture This Plus Nessie, but they didn't have that. So I had to pick a different one that I liked. And I like that one. And my next one is, I've shown this one as well because I was working on it last month, which is this, my little bookmarks of this plants. And I haven't worked on it again since I showed it last video, but for anyone who didn't watch that part, here it is again. And it's just this little hanging plant.
You're so pretty.
I do love it. I do love it, and I'm excited to finish it so that I can have a bookmark. Because why not? That one, now since I have it in front of me, it's by Lucy Heaton, which is also, and I got it from a magazine. And this one is on 16 count Ada, so it's going to be like a little smaller, which is probably a good thing because it's already pretty big.
Yeah.
That's that. Okay. So next one. So this was when I started. So these are all. Oh, that the plants was also a mania start. So in May, I had the lofty idea to start like 30 things, and I did 10, which is a much more manageable number. So, but I still have like 20 things that I could start at any time, which is great. So this was one of my mania starts. So I started this on May 3rd, and it is the Swans by Cottage Garden Samplings.
I'm still debating just diving in and buying all the ones that have been released to date.
Yeah, do it.
The rest
Why
of
not?
I don't know. It feels like such a big if I'd started when they got released and done it once a month, it wouldn't have felt like such a big thing. But now it feels like, oh,
yeah,
like patterns aren't cheap in Canada. Conversion rates have that impact, but they're just like, she keeps releasing a better one and a better one and a better one. The bear is still my favorite, but I just they're all so good.
The bear is really good. The fox, I'm gonna do the fox. I have the stuff for that pretty much. I'm gonna do it on the same color.
Owl.
The owl, there's another bird, the woodpecker.
Yeah,
and then
that one just got released.
Yeah, they're really good. They're great. I might do like 2 of each season. Let's see. Like I don't think I'm gonna do the ferret or like the raccoon. But I like the bear.
And that eagle is still very Americana, right?
So I'm not so into that one. So this one was called for is Mirage by Picture This Bus, which I did get. But mine is 16 count Ada, not linen, but it's still very beautiful. And this is my little start because I just basically started it and then put it away. So it's just like the tree along the top. Yeah, but this one will be fun to work on. I'm excited. Yeah, to get it back out. And then I want to do, I'm gonna do a bunch of them. I bought the fox and I bought the bear at that needlework thing I went to, and I'm probably gonna order some of the other ones or buy them if I see them. Okay, so my next one was this was a freebie from Tiny Modernist, and she did, it's like a coffee and a tea thing. So this is the tea one. So I'm doing this one first, and then there's also a coffee one, and they're like meant to be like complimentary.
They're very
so I'm gonna do those, and then I'm gonna hang them over my new little coffee and tea station. So this was a start. This was on May 4th, and I basically just did a row of flowers, and then put it away. So I haven't done.
You do what you need to do.
Yeah. And like this is one where like if I get it out and like focus on it for a while, like I'll probably finish it pretty quickly, because it won't require a lot of thing. And I'm moving like this is kind of like a greenish like brown, and I really like it because it reminds me of like coffee bags.
Yeah,
like burlap kind of bags. And I'm gonna change some of the words so that they like are more matchy, and then like hang them up together.
I'll be perfect.
See if I end up framing them. I might just do like hangings. And that's like a 14 count something. Okay, and the next one is also by Tiny Modernist.
Hey Megan, do you like Tiny Modernist?
Love Tiny Modernist. And this was also a Mania start. This one I started on May 5th, and it's the Mermaid Garden.
So pretty.
I also like under the sea things. I don't know if you could tell. Me and Megan both like under the sea things. And this one I'm doing on, I think it's a 14 count, just like kind of like burlappy type thing as well, because I like that kind of background with those bright colors. Mm-hmm. And then I have some little fishies. Yeah, and my margin, this is like a really thin piece, so it might be a little small, but I think I'm gonna just cheat this, like this octopus, just like over, and then.
How are you gonna finish it? Are you gonna put it in a hoop, or?
I don't know. We'll see. But it's like the way that everything is like spaced out, I could easily just like move them in a little bit if I needed to.
A little bit, it becomes a little less round. So then if you put it in something square,
yeah,
it's not like a round thing in a square.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But yeah, we'll see like as I start to like go out if I feel like I have enough room to just do it. I think I have like just enough room to do it, but if I moved it in a little bit, then it would be like a little bit more of a margin. So we'll see. We'll see how I feel as I work on it. And they're so little, like even if I had to just like take something out and move it over, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Because I was like trying to use up a lot of the scraps that I had because I didn't want to order a bunch of new fabric for these like 30 things that I was starting.
What? You didn't want
not even
$800 to hit up all your projects,
right? Okay, so this next one I'm really excited about, and I got this pattern from a magazine, but then I also just ordered the book that it came in because I love everything in the book. It's The World is Full of Magic. I've just been calling this Magic Sea because it doesn't have like an actual name.
I can't even pick which one is my favorite. Right? Oh, I love that one. Oh, I love that one. Oh, I love that one. They're all great. They're all great.
And the it calls for some like not light effects, not at all light effects DMC.
So terrible.
Yeah, and there's three light effects colors. So
have you already bought them?
Yeah.
So you're a little committed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to use them. I haven't started using them yet.
Yeah, because like if there's equivalents in the Diamant, that's easier to stitch with, but there's not as many colors available.
Yeah,
so
we'll see. I'll play around with it. I just have this tiny little corner started so far. But yeah,
that blue fabric is great too.
Yeah, so this is 16 count navy. So it's called for navy because it obviously, like with all the white and everything, like you have to put it on something dark. And then like with the black orca, like it wouldn't show up. So yeah, so it's on this blue, and yeah, I just I'm in love with it. It's so good.
Yeah, it's gonna be so good.
It's not on my WIPGO board because I just started it, but if I finish that sushi one, because the sushi is on my board, I'm gonna slot this in instead, and that will be my reward for finishing sushi. Will be that I get to work on this when it gets called.
It's a good motivation.
I have to bribe myself sometimes. Okay, so next this is the Big Hearted Tiny Town from Heart in Hand.
Did you see? So I haven't watched the video, but apparently when she did a fat quarter shop like Q&A thing, there's a Halloween one coming. Yeah,
I love Halloween. Yeah, that's awesome because I have this one, I have the Christmas one, and I didn't want to do like the patriotic one or like the blooming one didn't really appeal to me.
No, but
I will definitely do the Halloween one. So that's perfect because I would love to have all three to like swap out at different times of the year. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I bought the Christmas one, which you can see on the back here. I bought the Christmas one at that embroidery thing. So yeah, oh, that's exciting. So I started this one Also, as part of my May starts, I started it on May 8th. And I actually started it twice because I had started on this side and then realized that I didn't have enough room. So I moved over and started in the middle because I feel like it would be easier to branch out rather than go across. Because I wanted to use this strip of, this is the same fabric that my Strawberry Fields is on. This is that vintage beige. And then if I can use this side for the Valentine's one and then this side for the Christmas one,
Yeah, then they'll match.
That'll be perfect. Because they're short, but they're long.
They're long, yeah.
So yeah. And then yeah, I guess I'll have to get the Halloween one and start that someday. Okay, next is Quirky Quaker Nessie, which is by Darling and Whimsy Designs. And I have that one there. So it's this one. And it comes on the same chart as the unicorn and the Yeti that you saw Meghan had already finished.
So cute.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. And I literally
again even.
Yeah,
so
like I
journal.
Mm-hmm. And this is that color that I said the other one was, which this is the Rec House Newfoundland one, which I bought specifically for this because it is literally the exact same color.
Yeah.
And it's so perfect. And then I'm putting it on, this is the 16 count Bridesmaid, which was the same as my Under the Sea Sow. So that's my start on that.
So cute.
You just have most of the border and then this little curly Q. And that'll stitch up quick once I start like focusing on it.
Yeah, each of mine has really taken like either like one real like stitchy day or just 2 days to do.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah, they're quick. Like I did that. Yeah, like I did that bat in probably like 4 hours altogether.
Yeah, yeah.
Once I actually was doing that. And this bag, I got at Stitch North, and it has all of my Quirky Quakers in it, so they're all friends. Because they don't, most of them only have like a couple colors, so they just all.
Yeah, mine all live in one project bag too.
Yeah.
I just don't have any started right now, so they're not WIPs, they're kits.
They're not WIPs, they're future WIPs. Okay, so next is, this is Witch Ride by Barbara Anna Designs. And it looks like this. It's this little witch on a mouse. And I love it so much. And it's kind of Halloween-y, but then it also has like snowflakes on it. So it's like kind of Christmassy. Like it's all seasons. And I only have a tiny, tiny little start on this, which is just that little.
Were these still May starts?
Yeah. So this was May 14th.
Yeah, but those, like, when you come back to it, it's a few days of solid stitching.
Mm-hmm. And none of these are on my WIPGO because I had already made my WIPGO before I started all these. But if I finish anything else from the WIPGO and that hasn't been called yet, then I'll start slotting things in.
If not, they're ready for next year's WIPGO.
Yeah, exactly. And then my next one, so I have two more. So this one is The Magical Forest by Stitchy Princess, and who's a designer from Ukraine. And I really like her stuff. It's so weird and fun and interesting. And I had ordered this piece of mint green 20 count for Millions of Stitches, and I didn't really have like a plan for it. I just like really liked the color, but it's the perfect color for this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm doing the called for, this is all DMCs, and I'm doing it over 1 because it's 20 count, so it's little. And it's already like, it's a big pattern, so I kind of don't mind putting it on something higher count because it's going to be.
Right? Like it's the same number of stitches, but then it's a smaller product, so you can fit more things in your space.
Yeah, and I'll be able to fit more things on that piece of fabric.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, my last start, those were all May ones, and then this one I just started on July 4th because it got called on my WIPGO board and I hadn't even started working on it yet. It was supposed to be a May start, but I didn't want to do it. And it's this London town, which I showed last video as well, because it was a WIPGO for July. And I had to do 5 days on it, which I did. And that's where I'm at. So this is the top of one of the buildings. So I've already reached that part.
Yeah, it's hard to tell from the photo how big it's going to be. Like when you first started showing it to me and you're like, oh, I've done this much of the flag. I'm like, really? That's all? But right? Like it's smaller than you think it's going to be, but it's still a big project, right?
Yeah. And this it's on 16 count, and I think in the thing it was like 32, so it's basically the same.
Yes.
So and the called for pattern, so it's by Melanie Watkins Patel, but she designed it for Anchor, so it's like one of their patterns that they put out. So the call for is Anchor floss, so I had to do my own conversion to DMC. So I have my list of this is how many colors there are. And I had to convert them all to DMC, and now I'm just like, and I floss dropped them all.
You're beautiful.
So now I'm all ready to go. And then so I did my 5 days on that, and we'll see when I pull it out again. But so I completed all my July WIPGO things, and I'm ready to start my August ones. So my August ones are going to be the birth sampler, and then also the Northern Lights one, which I also haven't started yet because it was on, like, I was going to start it.
You have it handy to show, or at least the picture?
I do have the picture.
Because it's really pretty. Show it off. Let people know what will happen.
It is gorgeous. And it is also going to be big, and it's also a full coverage piece.
Oh, good.
And I floss dropped all of those ones the other day, so they're all ready to go because there's a lot of colors.
Is it stitched solid? Like, is it stitched solid, or is it on a dark blue?
It's on white.
It's on white. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what you're gonna do?
All stitching.
Okay. Oh.
Why do we do these things? Because they're pretty.
Yeah, because they're pretty, and we want them.
I'm just gonna look. Yeah, it's all full crosses, and then there's like a couple of blended colors. That'll be. I thought there was more blended colors, but there's only 2.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, but everything else is like full stitches. And that one's also by Amanda Butler, who's the same designer who made my turtle that I really like. I really like her stuff. So I'm excited to start on that one and do 5 days on it. I'll probably do like this much. But that's all my WIPs. Doesn't seem like that much.
No,
like it's a lot.
No, the pile's pretty high.
Yeah, it's like a full cube. Yeah. And what is your August one? So it's
my August ones are see if I can find them in the stack and just show them again. I should have put them aside.
Yeah, I'll have to put mine on frames today because I'll start working on those the day after tomorrow. So I'm gonna try to finish more of clue, like I'll start clue 4 of that under the sea thing because I'm just gonna keep working on that all the time basically, and then I'll start my WIPGOs on August 1st like I'm supposed to. Oh yes, the sewing room.
Yeah, so one of them is the Bigfoot Bunch. So I've got 5 days for it. But I'll probably start working on him on Monday or maybe tomorrow. And I'll probably just work on this one until it is done. Like this is like 2 hours of work, and that whole border's done and that leaf outline, right? So
Yeah.
he's on the board for 5 days. It might take more than 5 days to finish it, but I'll get it done. And then, yeah, the other one is the Maggie the Messmaker sewing room one, this one. So that's on there for 5 days, and seeing how the month goes, I might do more than 5 days. I might not. Might try and pick a spot to try and get to on it. But I'll get more work on that. Like, it'd be nice to finish up the rest of sort of this area, right? Then this is a dresser underneath, and then it moves over into like a window thing. But if I can finish up that empty spot, that would feel like a good accomplishment. I'm definitely going to keep working on this one in between, as I feel like it. If you're not familiar with the Witchy Stitcher, if you want to stitch her, you have to invest in black DMC.
Yeah.
There's a lot of black, right? So work through and get the structure of the carousel done maybe, and then I can fill in the other colors. But keep working on that. And then I will probably pull this baby back out at some point this month to do some more work on, because I love her. She's a delight to stitch. And I can't say enough good things about this pattern. Go buy it. Just go buy it.
Yeah, absolutely. And get all the flosses too.
Yeah, you have to get the whole kit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm probably gonna keep working on the sushi one because I really want to finish it this month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if she is leaving to go to school, then I want to finish it before she leaves. And then yeah, my WIPGOs, which are both like the birth sampler will feel like I'll be more accomplishing with it because it's like little.
Yeah, you can finish motifs on it, right? Whereas the other one, you're gonna put stitches in, and even if you work on it for 5 like really good stitching days, you're gonna feel like you made no progress at all.
Yeah, exactly. So
gotta play full coverage.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna take, because we did like these 2 videos like close together. So our next one, because we did our finish parade and then we did our WIP parade, and our next one will just be like a regular catch-up Flosstube, so not as long, hopefully.
Yeah, and so probably closer to the end of August. Then we can show you our WIPGO success. Let's just say success. It'll be a success. Yeah, and share anything that we might have accidentally bought in the month of August. Oops. Yeah, things happen. And yeah, and just update you on where we are at.
Yeah,
with our stitching.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have. Well, I don't know if I'll have any finishes. Maybe I'll feel inspired and I'll finish something. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't anticipate any finishes other than that Bigfoot one. So
yeah,
we'll see. Maybe something. I do have a few things that are quick wins if I decide to pull them out. So
yeah. Well, thanks again for watching.
If you like us, hit the like button and the subscribe button so you know when we have a new video. Our social media accounts and things like that are linked below as well. So if you want to give us a follow there, and see what we're working on over the next month before we update you on YouTube, that would be great too.
Yeah. And again, if you have any questions about anything that we showed today that we didn't fill in the blanks on, we tried to be a little bit more organized with it, but we may have missed some things.
Yep.
Ask, leave comments.
We will answer.